Robertson Sports Show.
Yo, it's Mr. House.
It's that dude, C. Woods.
Your grilled cheeks.
And this is our 2 cents. What's up, y'all?
What's going on, man?
Again, we have our very, very special guest back again, man. Coach Robertson, thank you for joining us again. Man.
Thank you for having me.
Cheeks, how are you living?
Good.
Sir Woods, how you living, brother?
Blessed, man.
All right. Coach?
I'm blessed as well.
All right. Well, there it is, man. Let's get right into it. So, Coach, man, we're glad you joined us again, man. And we wanted to, I wanted to give you a few minutes, man, to just talk about your journey, man. I know you played for Xavier back in the day.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna ask you some questions. I'm gonna let you get yours out, but we got some questions for you. I definitely want to hear how you went from basketball to becoming a track coach.
Right.
And I'm sorry I didn't cue it up right. He's actually the track coach of the Black Lightning Track Club out of Long Beach. My daughter runs with some of the girls, and I think your story is important, man. And what you're doing is really helpful for not only these girls, but for the community as well, man. So
definitely.
I wanted you to first just talk about, your journey, how you got, from growing up to where you are now, man, if you want to.
Definitely so. Yeah, I'll get right into it. Yeah, when I was younger and, I thought about it like what we might talk about today. And I was, I thought back all the way to the beginning, like what fueled me into sports. And it's funny, sometimes it's the little things. And I know I would go out and I didn't have anybody to play with. And I was playing basketball, and all I wanted to do was just get the ball in the hoop, right? I just wanted to get it, and I couldn't, right? And I was, not, I guess, old enough, and it was 10-foot hoop and everything, so I just kept at it, and it just had a love for the game. I always loved the Lakers, right? So then I started to play, started to develop. Parents saw that I took an interest in it. I remember going to first, before actual travel ball, we played at the YMCA. And I remember my YMCA team, it was a team in Long Beach. And one of my teammates was OJ, Ortiz Jenkins, right? He was a quarterback at Arizona, Long Beach Jordan graduate. That was my guy. And it was funny because, he was a scorer. He was the main guy. And I knew, I was like, I could facilitate because I love Magic Johnson. I was like, I can get the ball to you and everything. And he would score. One day though, Ortiz had something better to do. And he wasn't there. And I was like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do, right? And then the coach pulled me aside and told me, he's like, hey, he was like, coach, score the ball. And so that's, when I started getting an active sense of okay, now I'm a scorer too. And it's funny because I'll get further in the story and tell you how those things change, right? You may be this at this time, but you may be something different later on, and as is in life. And going through, and we would play. By the time we got to high school, we went to Jordan. I went to Artesia. But prior to Artesia, I spent a freshman year, elsewhere, and then I went over there. But I was coming from a team where I was the only scorer, primary scorer. I remember a team doing a diamond and one right on me. And I didn't know what was going on, right? The guy picked me up. He picked me up backcourt, right, all the way. I said, man, what's the guy doing, right? And I couldn't do anything. I said, you still guard me the ball. I said, aren't you supposed to go where the ball level is? Aren't you supposed to be down there? And he was still just right in my face. And I remember that game. It was 7 points. So they took the ball out of my hands, but I had to go back to being a facilitator, get the ball around. But like anybody else, I know a lot of times these days, us people maybe a little older, we always want to talk about the younger guys in these super teams, right?
Right.
But I always like to bring up the point that even the ones that I watched, that was still a super team, right? If you got 3 or 4 people in the top 75, no matter how they came together, it's still a super team, right? You got Magic, you got Kareem, you got Worthy, you got Bob McAdoo and Jamal Wilkes, who in their prime were, something totally different, I went over to Artesia, and I got on a team that was just packed with talent, right? And everybody, so when I get there now, everybody's a scorer. And everybody's fighting for time and everything, and those practices are really intense. And so that, leads to present day where I knew practice is really one of the things that elevates the level of those athletes.
Yeah, and you made varsity, but you ride the pine.
So yeah, I'm riding the pine, we're not, not getting any time or anything like that. And then, we go into a tournament And in the tournament, it's a guy out there. It's a Redondo Union tournament. I remember his name, Tremaine Mayo, right? And he's out there and he's killing our guys. He's killing them. And I'm like, man, you know, I'm on the bench and I'm watching. I'm a spectator, right? And then Coach Roland Preciado, he says, hey, man, he's like, you know, put Demetrius in there on him, right? So it goes from being a facilitator, passing the ball, to now you score, to now it's like, you got to go in there and get some lockdown defense going. And I went in there, locked down. We win the tournament and everything. So then it was like I was getting my shots. So from then on, the coach, he was always like, okay, I'm gonna put you on the best player, right? And I think it was like a really healthy crop of really good players when, during that time, I was guarding Shea Cotton, Baron Davis, Illusion Man, if you're real like Hoop Head, you know who that guy is, right?
Yeah.
People don't know some of the people that didn't make it as far as they should have. But I remember, fast forward to my, junior year was great. By the time you fast forward to my senior year, there was another transition. Coach called us in the office and he said, we had two centers, two big guys, but they ended up going to college. So Kevin Daly, Special K Daly, he left, and I think he went to Nevada, right, to the Wolfpack. And I think Jonathan went to Oregon, right? So our two big guys left, and we just didn't have anybody, else coming in. And so we had a guy who was like 6'7" and 6'8", but they were shooters, right? One guy, Angel, he was from Spain, he was a shooter. And so Coach calls us in the office, me and my buddy DeJuan Woods, right? I'll never forget it. And he flipped the coin. He said, pick. He's like, heads or tails. So I picked and I lost, right? He said, you're the 5 and you're the 4. Good luck. Go get in the weight room, right?
Man.
For a whole season, yeah. That was our season.
Wow.
But we were up and down the court, but I'm playing the 5, he's playing the 4. And, during that time, in summer and in the playoffs, we played against Jason and Jerron Collins. They big 7-footers. And he's telling us, he's like, look, you guys are gonna have to get on their hip and try and ride them out, and gave all these different things. Obviously, that's not good, right? yeah, you do it, right? It was huge, and not good for looks and scholarship or anything like that. But it was like what needed to do when we wanted to win, and we had a great team and everything. So it was about life and those different transitions. And I learned a lot from it. Even like, after sports and stuff like that, I call one of my jobs my best worst job, right? Because I learned so much from it, even though it was like some trying times, some times when we say like you lose your attitude, I'm going sitting on the curb, and mad and everything, you want to pull your hair out, but it's those are the things that you learn the most from.
Right.
So
I think there's a good takeaway right there, right? I mean, you're talking about a guard having to play center against 7-foot people, and it's like a metaphor for life, right? You never know what life's going to throw at you,
right?
And you just got to deal with it and figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's tough, and maybe that's part of where your grit came from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, to be in that situation, like Chief said, I ain't doing
Go do it, right? She said, nah, I got to transfer, right? But it was good though. But I mean, it also introduced me to, like, he was like, hey, I'm gonna need you guys to go get in the weight room, start lifting, and introduce us to something different that we needed later on and that we really liked and we really enjoyed. So you never know what the reason is until later on.
You learn life lessons.
You learn life lessons, so quickly. And and even to like I always think it's this one game that I'll never forget. It was in Arizona at the BCI Basketball Congress International Tournament, right? And I played for Watts Magicians, right? So my coach Alvin Wills, and it was a game. No joke, you may not believe me. I didn't miss a shot this game, right? It's just one of those games. Everything was falling, rebounds, everything, blowing the team out. And we're running on offense, and the time's dwindling down. And I passed the ball right, and the guy tipped the ball and went out of bounds. Still our ball, right? But I was supposed to pass the ball left in the flex offense, right? And the coach, he said, come here, right? So I come over to the coach, and he's just yelling at what we call giving spit talk. He's spitting like all of the faces, giving it to me and everything. And so now I'm trying to end this spit talk, and the referee gave me the ball, and he slapped the ball out of my hand. He said, no, you're gonna listen, right? He slapped the ball out. But the whole point was, what I learned from it too, is that you're gonna need this when the tough game comes.
Right.
Like when it gets on the line, that's when you're gonna need it.
You gotta make sure
you're
you
gonna
make
be
the right
making
play.
the right plays,
Yeah.
and it's not to get off the focus. And I understood exactly what he's saying. He didn't explain it to me, but I knew then.
Right.
And some of those things they stick with you.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you got to be doing the right things all the way through.
I think it stands to to reason that you weren't a hothead, because a lot of people coach slapped the ball out of their hand at that point. It might be a different reaction.
Right. But yeah, I mean, we had some of those different times, and I've personally never been on a sports team where there haven't been fights with the athletes on the team. I've never ever been on one. I know everybody plays on different types of teams, so I've never seen it. Right. Even some of the little coach interaction, but different day, more old school. Probably not going to come up in conversation. It's just like one of those things. Like, hey, we're going to shut the doors and we'll see.
Yeah.
We thought we were tough and thought we were stronger. So it was always good. Good learning lessons.
Yeah.
So,
Talk to us about how you ended up at Xavier.
So with me playing the 5, you're not gonna get any looks. Like nobody's looking for a 6'5", right? I probably should be point guard or should, at best shooting guard, but more than likely point guard. I'm only 6 feet, right?
Right.
And so looking at some of the schools, and like we were talking about earlier, like I didn't know anything about like smaller schools and like how valuable they were, like how good they were academically. I didn't know that there were so many other options out of there. All I knew was like, hey man, I need to go to like a bigger school, right? And so grades were good, right? So I got an academic scholarship, and I went to Xavier, right, in Cincinnati. So everybody always asks me, they say, oh, you was in Louisiana, right? That's the first thing they ask, right? Because I actually have a friend, she played at the Xavier in Louisiana, right? But it's two, and they're sister schools, but I play in the one in Ohio. And so I go there, and I'm like, hey, well, what I got to do? I got to walk on, right? So I go in, first year, my freshman year, try out and everything. It didn't go as planned. I feel like I had the best trial, right? I did it. But what I realized later on is that like they're looking for somebody specific, and they're looking for like a practice person, right? So they're looking for like, okay, we need you because we need you to line up against this person, right? But by the time the next time came around, right, it was Posey was out that year, so then I'm playing the 3 there, and Posey's who I'm up against in practice, right? So James Posey, who got a ring in Miami, ring in Boston. Still mad about both of those, right? But so I'm basically practice like lining up against him, and if you like scout team, they're like, okay, Demetrius, you Wally Zerbiak today, right? These are plays you're doing, and this is what you're doing. And yeah, that was fun days. Yeah, and it's great runs and everything, and it was great. And we still got some time and everything, but it was fun, and it was also like another learning experience too, to say you walked on, maybe you didn't get it that first time, you try the second time, and maybe it's a different scenario, and then they're welcoming you on. So it was a great team. And sometimes you think about situational things like Posey. He had the height and build for the NBA, but our point guard and our shooting guard, at one point they were ranked like the number 3 backcourt in
the
college.
nation.
Yeah,
wow.
It was Lenny Brown and Gary Lumpkin, right? And it was just like sometimes you got to strike. Like when I was hot, and I know that next year was just a little different, and then they drafts and stuff like that, it shakes, it could go up and down, and they went overseas and played, and it's just sometimes some of those things are just so situational. And I tell my kids all the time, we laugh about stuff, because we know, like I know some girls that actually I think she was her senior year in high school, and she, signed a contract with Adidas. Another girl from Georgia, she signed a contract with Asics, without going to school. And I told them, I said, old school would tell you, no, you got to go to school and you got to do this. New school would tell you like, hey, that's opportunity cost. You got to get that money and then build into your deal. Like Alex and Felix said, well, why don't you pay before I can go to school or something like that. Right. So you have to kind of understand like the weight and value of money, and like I was telling Jason, which I don't even think I told you. So I've been an adjunct professor too since like 2005.
Okay.
So yeah, so I teach at Southwest College, and
nice.
Throughout my tenure I've taught at Cerritos and Cypress as well. And like you were saying, the transition is like, oh, play basketball, and like me and my buddies, like we were fast, and they probably shouldn't have just let us like, hey, come off basketball, come out football, and then just go straight to track with no training and limited. And it just wasn't the level of teaching and training that we had. It was just like, oh, you're fast, and then just go run. But then later on, when did a little more studying, worked with a speed coach, by the name of John Gilmer. He runs the Academy of Speed, and I was taking my daughters there. It's just learning that it's just so much more technical than we would think. Like you would think like your track is something, just go run, right? And that's what I thought too, right? You run, and when you're young, you put your head up, right? You move your arms all crazy, but it's not. It's just a lot more technical. A lot more goes into it than what I even knew or thought. And I was like one of those people. I never was like, oh, my kids, they got to do exactly what I did. Like if you like basketball, I was like, then go play basketball. You want to do tennis, go play tennis. You want to swim, swim. I think that, you know, with the youth, you know, it's good to have them like what they're doing. You know what I mean?
So you didn't become a track coach until your daughters started running?
Yeah, so I didn't even, so I put my daughters on a track club, right, initially. So I just put them on a track club. Then I ended up taking them to Coach John at Academy of Speed, right? And they got great results from it. So he was just taking the oldest one, Janelle, and then I was, you know, I would say, okay, Justine, I'll work and do some stuff with you, right? And then, you know, and then when the baby Jasmine came, I would work and do some stuff with her. And then he would say, okay, I feel like Justine's, you know, she's old enough, bring her over here, and like I want her to train her too. So then he starts training 2, and then eventually he's training 3.
Yeah.
And then so from that, like a lot of their friends, and they perform like at a really high level, like, you know, national champions and stuff. And a lot of their friends from other teams were like, well, what are you doing? Like, we want to, you know, get with you guys. And then so they were like, well, I was like, well, we can take you over here to Academy of Speed. And then, but, you know, that's something that you got to pay for, and it's more like, you know, personalized training. And I said, well, you know, we can make our own team, right? And just kind of learn from his tutelage and do the things that, you know, he's already kind of taught us to do. And then focus on that. So we'll take him for the days that we can take there, and then we'll just do all our stuff from here. And so then we made a team, and, you know, it was small at first, and it just kept getting bigger and growing and getting pretty popular, you know, obviously because of success. You know, get calls every day, like people are like, hey, you know, I want to bring my kid down there. We want him to, you know, to run on the team. And I think it's just a, you know, it's a good environment. I think it's an environment of learning too, where they learn and understand, like, you know, how to run. And the thing is, like, if you know, in any sport, they always say speed kills.
Right.
So it's not whatever you're doing. Even if you're over there playing, you know, table tennis or ping pong, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be doing some speed training, right? You know, the speed always comes in.
Right.
And, you know, so I think it's just useful whether, and, you know, some of the guys that are there, they don't even run track. They come and they get ready for football, right? So they come and they train and then they go back to football and they just get faster. And that's just, you know, what they do, and it works for them.
Woods, you got a question?
Yeah, question about the college from, well, Artesia too. So you're at Artesia, and they're, being from the IEI, we knew about Artesia.
Oh, yeah.
With Avondre, the O'Bannons.
That's right.
Shout out to Charles too. And how did it feel when you went to Xavier and you knew some of the people that, you know, you played against, like Illusion Man, weren't doing anything? How did that make you feel? Kind of like,
man.
I mean, because you played,
yeah.
And then I know there had to been like, how the hell did you get there?
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, it's a tough one when you realize that what we expected didn't happen in all those situations. But I can guarantee you that it's helping other people. And I'll give you some examples, like Illusion Man. Like I look, man, that dude had the best and the sickest handles, right? You know, my eyeballs are going all over the place trying to guard him. It's him and Ike Harmon, right, at Santa Ana. And he was just a great talent. And some things, you know, went awry when he was supposed to go to UCLA and everything. And it just didn't go the path that we knew it should have went, right? And then I'll take, you know, probably the best example is like Shea, right?
Yeah, I saw him.
You know,
saw him
like
Saturday. Yeah.
The best way that you can sum up Shea is he was LeBron before LeBron.
Yeah.
And I always say that to people, and they say, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And he was it. And just sometimes things, you know, don't pan out the way that I seen Shea, like, no joke. He probably won't admit it. I seen him in the 9th grade one time, and he was in a brand new 5.0, right? Because that's when he was at Modern Day, and it was cherry red. And he got out, and he had the powder blue North Carolina Jordans. And Jordan, I didn't even see Jordan had them on yet, and he had them. And he was, you know, he was a guy and everything. I remember him single-handedly just going toe-to-toe as a freshman with Crenshaw.
Yeah.
I remember it. Right, and
was that at the pond? Was that the pond? That was at the pond.
It was at the pond.
Chris
You're right.
Johnson was on that
Chris
team.
Johnson was on that team. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It was at the pond.
Yeah.
You're right. It was at the pond. And it's just like, but if you ask him, I guarantee you, if you have a conversation with him, if anybody's seen his documentary Man-Child, right, you'll see like how many people he's helping now, because he knows the experience and he's training, he's teaching. I seen him up at the Sand Dunes while I'm taking the track team, and then I see him, and I mean, we're just talking a little bit and everything. And you know, it's just a great experience, and you have to know and understand that sometimes some of the things that you do and you miss is to help everybody else. Right?
It works out how it's supposed to.
It works out exactly how it's supposed to.
Truly.
And then even some of the things I thought about, I was like, man, you know, I was just like, I just want to be a Laker. I just want to be a Laker. That's all I want to be. They asked me, they was like, what are you going to be when you grow up? I was a Laker. She's like, well, you know, what do you have a backup? I was like, nah, I'm a Laker, right? And then, you know, I would talk to them about it and everything, and I was just dead set on it. But, you know, as things turned out and I thought about it, it was like, you know, I had kids, And I was like, I could spend more time with them. And those things I like, you really cherish. And like I say, things turn out. And I said, if I ask myself the question, if it was up to me, would I rather be this, or if they end up being these great things, which one would I pick? And if you're a parent, you already know which one you're gonna pick. You're always gonna pick it for them. And so, I got a funny Crenshaw story. So this is that game I said I scored 7 points, right? I wouldn't say that was my worst game because I probably only took 3 shots, right? But one of my worst games, I'm at the Shaw, right? And we're playing, and I've never done this before in my life, right? And some of those things, they just stick out in your mind. And I airballed 2 threes in a row, right?
Kobe.
Yeah. But that's the difference, right? He gonna keep shooting.
Right.
Right? I wasn't gonna keep shooting. I gotta go to the hole after this. I did something wrong. I done airballed 2 shots and everything. But the funniest thing, and I'm glad you're not drinking any water when you hear this part. And so, they started making Prince noises. Because they said I looked like Prince because my hair was longer at the time to come down the thing. They're like, the whole Crenshaw is in there making Prince noises. And I was just shook, man. I was like, man, Coach, why don't you just take me out the game? This is the one and only time that I was like, just take me out the game. And my buddy, Brian Jones, he went to Santa Clara, point guard, right after Nash left. And he went to Banning, and he was great point guard. He told me, he said, hey, man, he snap out of it, man. He, shoot me point. I was like, man, I got out of it. Oh, man, they was on me. They was on me. Right? I had to get the headband, put my hair back and everything. I said, oh, man, this is a rough one.
I'll deal with that now, man.
What's the youngest you guys have for you? What's the age?
The age?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. I'm sure we got a 4-year-old on there. Yeah. Like, so my not youngest daughter, you gonna laugh. I got a pandemic baby. I got a 8-month-old. So, yeah. So not my youngest, but close to the youngest. She started when she was 4, but she was just always around it. And that's one of those things that you see. It's always like that, right? When that one is younger, and they're looking at that person, and they're watching the mistakes that they make, and then they're fixing those mistakes just naturally. Right, I don't know if it's by osmosis or what, but they're seeing, and those good examples that are around, they're just gonna fix things and be better. But I always tell them, I say, you guys got to thank your older siblings. Don't just my like some of them they come in there, they don't do it in front of other people, but they come in there and have some funny arguments, and they're like, well, I got more All-American patches. I got more of this. And they just sitting there arguing. I said, man, I was like, but they have something to do with you getting to the place where you were at.
Obviously.
Obviously, like, you talk about, at our teacher, Ed, Charles was a lot of that to Ed.
Yeah.
I mean, Ed, I think, I don't know how many players there are, but he's probably the only high schoolboy player of the year and also college, right? I'm not sure who else is. I know there's probably 1 or 2, or there's probably somebody, but I remember that. Ed was, if it wasn't for that knee, boy, man.
I saw Ed play against my high school. I wasn't even in high school yet. I think I was in 8th grade. And it was Riverside, John W. North versus Artesia at RCC College.
Yep.
And one of my homeboys, my older homeboy, shot the ball. He tried to lob it over Ed. Ed caught it and put it against the backboard.
Yeah, just pinned it. Yeah.
And everybody's like, dude, it's illegal.
Yeah.
It was illegal.
Yeah.
Him and Avondre Jones, they would just
Yeah.
destroy people.
Yeah.
Man.
Hey, Coach, before we get out of here, man, so for kids that want to join you or whatever, can you just put it out there? Is it your Instagram? How do people get a hold of you? Do you have a website? Or if they want to come join you or talk to you about getting their kids in track, how do they do that?
Yeah, I'll just give them the number. Like, I know y'all gonna laugh, right? I got 0 social media, right? I got 0. Mom and Greg can't find me, but the rest of them, even the kids, they got an account, right? I don't even know what the account they got, but they got it. So you can look it up on Instagram, Black Lightning. But you can get in contact with me. They can hit me up 562-879-1592. Knock me, I'll answer. I'll get the message. If they're interested in it, it's a good environment. Sometimes even I'll give somebody the best advice, because you might bring a kid that I may say, okay, I feel like they're better suited for another team that practices where we practice. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give you the best advice, because I don't have a reason to give you the wrong advice. We're not in it for the money.
Selfish.
Right, it's not like one of those things. It's not anything like that. We're just in there to help. And a lot of times people say, hey man, you want me to pitch? And I just tell them, I said, look man, my whole premise is this. I was like, I will be out here with my kids anyway, right? I would be out here, we would be doing our thing. So if somebody else wants to come along and that's how their friends came, it makes it better for them. Because I'll trust me this, and they'll tell you, they'll attest to it. If it's just me and my kids, it's gonna be a whole lot of yelling and crying and screaming and mad, I'm gonna break something or whatever. You know, everybody else there, you know, it helps and it's better for them too, right? Yeah. So I say everybody's, you know, getting some benefit from it, and I really like it, and I think it's just good for the kids.
Yeah, man. So, Coach, man, we appreciate you being here, man. This has been a gem for us. You're our first guest in our new home. In our new home.
Oh man! And what a great home it is.
We appreciate you, man. Y'all got any shout outs before we get out of here?
Yeah, I got one shout out Playmaker, of course, and then shout out what is it, Long Beach Lightning.
Black Lightning. So Black Lightning Track Club.
Black Lightning Track. And what's the number? One more time, just in case they
562-879-1592.
There it is. Tap in.
There you go.
Coach, you got any shout out this time?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to people you know, right? I'm gonna give it to Amel Cook, right?
Yeah.
Right, up and coming star, who's you know her friend's daughter. You know, and all those stars that we're supporting. Mm-hmm. And you know, you hadn't seen it before, but she's a track athlete and star too. It's just like the time frame now, because you know she's having to devote so much to basketball. So I like to give a shout out to her. I've been watching the videos. I say when I leave here, I'm gonna call Lloyd up and send me the latest video so I can check it out. Yeah. You know, and go from there. So
there it is.
Yeah, and to all of you guys for, you know, just great environment. I appreciate you guys having me out here. You know, Jason, crew, and everybody. You know. Couldn't have spent my time in a better manner.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you, man. Well, I don't have a shout out. My shout out would be you. I already gave you a shout out last time.
Right? I don't, like we say, like we're trying. I said I don't need any. I don't need like. We just gonna go out there and get some good results, right? Yeah. Obviously, shout out to to the Black Lightning Track Club and their continued success, and all the parents out there, and yeah, we're gonna continue to do big things. So 5 o'clock, Chittick Field, Long Beach, we're there. Yeah. You know, check the days, because we also try not to kill them, right? You know, but we work hard, but we don't, you know, not every single day of the week, but we work hard and recuperate, and you know, and even after we go out and win, then we're gonna play hard too and have some fun as adults as well. So, yeah.
There it is, y'all, man. Our 2 cents. I'm House, Woods, Cheeks, Coach Robertson joining us, and we out, y'all.
All right.